Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. Tisha here, back for another recap of Welcome to Plathville. This is season one, episode two, Starving for Independence. My thoughts at the episode are this. I appreciate the desire to instill strong values in children and to shield them from the negative influences of this world. However, part of parenting involves us as adults equipping our children with the skills that they will need for when they depart from our homes. While protection is important, this complete isolation from the reality of life may sometimes leave these kids less prepared to navigate this world independently of their parents, which sometimes can have them susceptible to going down that path where they're more heavily influenced by others. Now, I don't know if they're teaching them to be leaders or not. I hope that they are, but I can see why there's so much confusion when it comes to this family because of the way that these kids were brought up. But let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Do me a favor and hit the like button. I mean, how innocent are these children that are doing chores while singing glory to his name? I mean, they are harmonizing, y'all. I was like, oh. First of all, if you don't know this about me, I love music. I used to sing. I still do here and there, but not as much as I used to. And it fills me up with a lot of joy when you see little kids that aren't just singing, but they're doing harmony as well. Beautiful, beautiful sound. So it just goes to show you how innocent these kids are, because most kids, they're not going to be singing while they're doing chores, and definitely not gospel music. They might be complaining or something like that, but they're just in this bubble of gladness. So the little kids are doing chores, but 16-year-old Mariah is getting caught up on her work. She knows that she is not going to be able to go to San Francisco, California without completing these assignments that she already have, plus the little bit of extra work that her mother Kim gave her. I watched this show before, and I never paid attention in the past when I first watched this when it came out, the limited amount of space that they had. Like, there are literally two bunk beds, each with, one at the top and one at the bottom, and this little small space where someone who is of a smaller size will be able to fit in, but somebody like me wouldn't be able to squeeze in between there to get to the beds. So it just goes to show you the limited amount of space, right? So Mariah seems to be the most in this household at this time that is over her life. She's talking to her sister Lydia, who is 15, about homeschool. And of course, Lydia loves it and enjoys it, while Mariah, just can't help but feel like they've missed so much, because unlike other homeschools where kids get to go to places and go on trips and see museums and do different experiments, they do everything where they're at. They don't get to venture out a lot. Mariah sees that her sister loves this life, but it's not for her. She feels like her parents have an idea of what they want their kids to be, of what they want her to be, and she's not sure if it's something that she desires, because what she really wants is independence and she wants freedom. I feel like Mariah has always been judged by her family, because even when she's sitting there and she's talking to her sister Lydia about if she wants to go to college, and Lydia's like, yeah, I either want to do Bible studies, or I think she said she wanted to learn different languages. When Mariah considers college, she gives her a negative response. She's talking about how she feels like the only reason why her sister would want to go to college is to party and not to learn. They laugh about it, but I personally feel like it's sad, because I feel like Mariah is always looked at as if she can't do things. So we see Mariah sitting at the table and she's doing her work, and her mother is in the kitchen with her little sister washing dishes, basically talking junk, saying that she's wondering if she's really doing it or if she's just going through the motions. I don't like the judgment because if it's bothering me, I can't begin to imagine how that would feel to Mariah, which Mariah later does says that she tries to kind of like block it out. So she comes downstairs with a smile on her face, brings her mother her work. Not only has she completed it, but as her mother is checking it, I noticed that the scores are high, like 93 and 95 and 100. I just have one question, and you all tell me if you noticed it. But am I wrong in feeling like that math was like converting decimals into fractions? And if that is that not, that's not 16-year-old math. I feel like I was doing that in elementary school. I don't know if it's different, but y'all just tell me what you saw there. So, even though Kim is nervous about allowing Mariah to go on this trip, she's going to let her go because she did what they agreed to doing. So, Ethan and Olivia are at home. They're adjusting well to married life. She is preparing for this work trip. Despite booking Mariah a ticket and a hotel room, at this point, she's not sure if Mariah is going to be able to come because she doesn't know yet that Mariah actually did finish her work. But she said that for this past month, she has been contacting Mariah, calling her, and encouraging her to get it done so that she can come. Mariah, she says she knows feels stuck and isolated. So they're really trying to allow her to experience, some of the world and to help her get out. Olivia says that she knows what it feels like to be in Mariah's situation because she too was in a very strict home, and she knows what it feels like to not be understood, and she feels like it can change if the family changes because that's what happened for her. Like her and her father had some issues at first, but over time her father came around. So she's thinking that that could be a possibility with her and the Plaths as well. And while you would think that this would be good and you would think that all would be well, it actually has caused problems because a rift has formed with Olivia and the Plaths. Ethan tells us this, and she basically tells us this, but it more so sounds like it's with Olivia and Kim. And because Kim has an issue, then Barry has an issue because Kim very much so runs that man. But she's trying to act like she doesn't. Anyways, so I can't imagine that hearing that Olivia is trying to help her in this regard is going to help bridge that gap. But Olivia has introduced Ethan and now their daughter to a new way of life. Olivia lets us know that her and Kim have had trouble all along, that Kim does not trust her. And from very early on, when she was dating Ethan, that Kim started judging her for the toothpaste she used, for what she ate, for what she wore, for what she did. So it's come to the point where whenever she goes to the farmhouse, she is what I'm going to say is anxious because she talks about getting a pit in her stomach and her stomach being knots and in knots. It sounds I promise you I could talk sometimes. Her stomach being in knots. It sounds like she's anxious. It sounds like, she's nervous, that she's having a response because this is the negative aspect of her life. If she was in therapy with my therapist would say you have wells and drains. Sometimes people fall under both. Sometimes you got people who are just drains. You need to move accordingly because of that drain issue and how it makes her feel. I personally don't think I would ever go into that home. I do not think that I would be able, and I'm talking about for me, I would not be able to marry a man if I don't get along with his parents because I just see that causing other issues later on. Like, what do we do when it's time for holidays and you want me to come by your parents' house? What am I going to do? Be around there and be fake or feel like I'm not welcome? Like, I can't see myself being in that situation. Anyways, she later enters the house and she does embrace Kim, and you see all the little ones run up to her and hug her. So it's clear that the little kids do like her. Now, Kim to me is lying. Y'all tell me what you think because Kim is acting like she never said anything negative about Olivia, like she never judged her. Whereas we know that Olivia feels like she did. But I think that maybe Kim never said anything directly to Olivia, but what she doesn't realize, Kim, is that your son told Olivia what you said, which may have caused something. So you can act like Olivia's falsely accusing you, but I think she did it. And just because you sit there smiling while you talk, it doesn't mean you're not saying something nasty or judging her. So um she helps Mariah pack, and then they head home. And then we see the next day they're heading to the airport. Mariah cannot wait to go to no, what do they call it? The no state, because the parents have deemed California as a no state. So Mariah can't go to the no state of California. This is all a first for her. She's never been on a plane. She's never had to go through TSA. She's never had to do the security check and all those other things. This is new to her, but she ends up enjoying the beauty of the skies to the point where Olivia says the entire time she's up there, she's looking out the window and she's taking pictures. That is my favorite part of the airplane ride, is looking out that window and seeing the clouds. And I like to see bodies of water too. I'm one of those people who I have a lot of pictures in my phone from various flights because there's just so much beauty in it, right? And I try to not to think of the whole mechanics and all that other stuff, because goodness gracious, if you really think about it, anything goes wrong with the plane, your car just cuts off on you. What happens when a plane just cuts off you? Okay, I'm going down there. I did exactly what I said I wasn't going to do. But I do love the beauty of that. So I could imagine just how that felt for her and doing it for her first time. So she gets another first when she gets to ride on what she's calling the train. I would call it a subway, but she's calling it a train. So I'm going to call it a train. And then another when it's just her and Olivia sleeping in the room because she's so accustomed to there being 5 people in the room with her. It's the things that you don't think about, because I can't imagine never having my own space. Now, as a child, there were times where I shared my room, but that was just in the summer. Like, I didn't have to share my room all the time. And I guess for her, this is completely new because she's always had to share her room. So once again, it's the things that you don't think of. So the ladies go exploring in downtown San Francisco. Now, I've been to California before when I was little. I have not been as an adult. I could have sworn I went to San Francisco and I don't remember it looking like what we saw. I remember the Golden State Bridge of it. I don't remember the area where they were at. Anyways, but they're walking downtown with a camera crew, and I'm thinking to myself, this is probably not helping the situation because people are seeing you walking with these cameras. So of course they're going to want to approach the cameras and things of that nature. Duh, they probably want to be on TV. So not only is she dealing with this new atmosphere, but she's seeing like the shock of graffiti on the walls and the different smells and the homelessness that is out there. But she also has these random men and women approaching her, and she's embracing it all because it's a Southern thing, she says, to, be polite and to answer. She doesn't mind, and she loves the energy of the city, but she doesn't really like the smell, which she says for at first she thinks she's smelling chicken, and Olivia's like, that's not chicken, that's the smell of the city. And I don't know where y'all at, because I mean Brooklyn, uh, the area of Brooklyn where I lived did not smell. I know, like, I go to Chinatown, like if I'm out Manhattan or something, sometimes you may smell some. Okay, let me not act like I'm lying. I'm lying. It did smell. It smelled when it was time to put out that trash. It smelled when you went to the dead end and all that trash was sitting there waiting for the truck. See, look how quickly I lied. Okay. I got accustomed to the smell. I was about to lie to y'all. What was I thinking? Anyways, so they're walking and they're shopping and trying new things like cotton candy. I do not like cotton candy. I am not a cotton candy person, but Mariah loves it. They're sightseeing. She's drinking soda, which she's already had that before, and coffee and eating chocolate. And they enter into what is called the Castro neighborhood, We learned that in the 1970s, this was considered San Francisco's gay neighborhood, that this was a place where people could be accepted. But now, since they've, gone to other places and they're getting more acceptance there, she's noticing as they're riding through that there are rainbow flags all over. And their guy, because they ride in like the guy's driving with the bike and they're sitting in the carriage part as he gives them a tour. And he points out how this particular club that is ahead of them was the first club that did not black out their windows, that they allowed people to see who came in there. It's happening to me again. I don't know why, but when he said that, there was something about that made me so sad, because I can't help but think of the people who live in fear of retaliation or in fear of not being accepted because of who they love. And something about that just made me be like, this was however many years ago. They're on season 7, I think now. So we're gonna say maybe this is like 6 or 7 years ago. Correct me down below because I'm not sure. But to know that to this day that's still a problem, that bothers me. To know that I have friends that have not told members of their family about the person that they love because they're afraid of what will happen once they do that, that's sad to me. And it just I don't it hit me. Um so all of this is new to Mariah. She's never even heard of the acronym. She says LGBT, which, correct me if I'm wrong down below. Don't charge it to my head and not my heart. I think it's LGBTQIA now. If I missed anything, forgive me, but it just goes to show you that even that has changed a lot, and still yet there's still a struggle for acceptance. Mariah says she knows some people's opinion on that, but for her, everybody has the right to live the way in which they want to. And I agree. And I've said this before in other reviews, and I say it again. To me, the main thing that we should be doing as a society is to lead in love. Imagine how different things would be if, rather than worrying about what people do or who they're with, that you focus on the love aspect of things. I just feel like it would be a greater, because there wouldn't be so much hate, right? So they later go to the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a beautiful view, and she loves that too. She says she doesn't see how she can be content with her old life after being exposed to all of this. We see her head to the beach, and they're playing in the water, and they're just enjoying the beauty of the city before they have to work later on. And then they go grab some food and they enjoy that too. So that's the end of their trip. Let's go to Ethan. Ethan doesn't know what to do with himself since his wife is gone. So he goes to the farm to hang out with his siblings. He doesn't go around there as much anymore because of the stuff that's going on and the tension that's there. Kim tells us that when Olivia is around, that Ethan acts differently, that he doesn't do things with her. But when she's not around, like, he'll hug her and stuff like that. I don't necessarily feel like that's Olivia's fault. I feel like Kim blamed Olivia for a lot of things that went wrong in their relationship, when Kim was to blame for things too. You're not as welcoming as you're making yourself seem, Kim, in my opinion. So they are excited to see him. The kids are, they look up to him. Later, Ethan meets up with some of his co-workers to play pool and have some beer. He's worked with them now for 2 years. Before Olivia, he never drank with them, but now he does drink. His friends speak on how it's like he grew up in the olden days, with the way that he moves and the way that everything is so new to him. And it just reminds them of how much that they take for granted in their lives. One of his friends spoke on the first time that he saw him taste a Pop-Tart, that he was like a big kid. He called Olivia to tell her that he had a Pop-Tart and how much he liked it, and then it was the strawberry flavor and it was all the sugar. Then he tells a story about how 5 minutes before he got married. Y'all give me a second because the music outside is ridiculous and I don't want to get copyright. Okay. So 5 minutes before he got married, his mom pulls him to the side and tells him that she needs to talk to him about something. Basically, she's giving him the talk, right? So she's like, "Look, you need to be gentle, and I need you to know that there's two holes." I would have been mortified if that's the advice that I'm getting, and to make sure that you get the right one. 5 minutes before his wedding. And he tells us that, like, it's safe to say that even at 20 and no exposure, that you as a young man know that, there's two holes. All right. Which makes me wonder what he was doing that his parents didn't know. I'm just saying. Anyways, that's it. That's the end. My own thoughts. I never have been fond of Kim. I don't know if it will change as the series goes along, but I know that for several seasons, because I think I watched the first three, she got on my nerves. The dynamic is clearly tense in my opinion, because Kim and Barry want to maintain control, mainly Kim, because in my mind, a lot of what their children's lives are about is control. Olivia, we know, believes in freedom and growth. And I feel like that can turn around and change things. So here's my question if you've made it this far, and put your answer down in the comment section if you don't mind. Let me know, is Olivia helping or is Olivia hurting Mariah with this exposure to places like San Francisco, California? Go ahead and do me a favor if you haven't done so already and hit that like button. Stay safe, and I'll see you for episode 3. Until next time.